morning to you all. Now let us see promotion of biological control in entrepreneurship, especially for the women entrepreneurs. You all know these pesticides, they create so many problems to the environment, user and the consumer. These pesticides, once we use any pesticide, first of all, it is harmful to the user. Next, they remain in the product as the pesticide residues and they will enter into the atmosphere in many ways. One way is they will enter into the water through runoff. They will enter into the groundwater, surface water, and they enter into the environment. Mostly what they do, they affect the microorganisms. They kill useful microorganisms. If we are using any fungicide, along with the fungus, that is the plant pathogenic fungus, they also kill useful fungi like trichoderma. If we use bactericide, along with the harmful bacteria, they also kill the bacteria which are useful bacteria like Pseudomonas. And when we use insecticides, they kill the pests. They kill the pests like Spodoptera, Helicoverpa and all. Along with the pests, they also kill these beneficial insects. That is the problem with the pesticides. So they kill useful microorganisms, either fungus, bacteria or insects. They enter into the atmosphere, they enter into the air, they enter into the water, they cause so many health problems. Ultimately, they will remain in the food as pesticide residues, especially when they used indiscriminately, they will remain in the food as the pesticide residues and they cause health problems. Alternative to the pesticides is the biological control. Biological control is nothing but using useful organisms. Suppose if you want to kill an insect, you can use the beneficial insects, the friendly insects, the natural enemies to kill the insects. These beneficial insects are divided into parasitoids and predators. The parasitoids are nothing but very small insects. They use other insects as the food and they kill the crop pests. Predators also, these are bigger insects, little bit bigger than the parasitoids. These are also insects, but they kill the other insects. Apart from these insects, there are entomopathogens. Entomopathogens means these are pathogens, they kill the insects. That means entomo means insects. Pathogens means which causes diseases to the insects. Any entrepreneur, especially any woman entrepreneur with a lot of patience, they can start entrepreneurship in the biological control. They can produce parasitoids, they can produce predators, they can produce entomopathogens. Moreover, they can produce Trichoderma, Pseudomonas. That means Trichoderma is a fungus which kills the other fungi. Pseudomonas is the bacterium which kills other fungus, and it is also a growth promoter. These are all the options available to the entrepreneurs to come up in the biological control aspect. If you see biopesticides, you take biopesticides, they are under the Act. They are under the Act, Insecticides Act 1968. Those are to be registered. Those are to be registered with the Government of India before starting production. Any entrepreneur must know about it, the Act, rules, regulations and all. That's why if anyone wants to produce any entomopathogen or Trichoderma or Pseudomonas, they must take approvals from the Government of India under the Insecticides Act 1968 with the CIBRC, Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee. They must register their products. And if anyone wants to produce biofertilizers like azotobacter and all these biopesticides, phosphate solubilizing bacteria, potash mobilizing bacteria, zinc solubilizers, they must register with Fertilizer Control Order 1985. But if you see the parasitoids and predators and entomopathogenic nematodes, parasitoids, predators, and entomopathogenic nematodes, they need not register under any act. Only they have to maintain quality of the product after the production. After the production, they must maintain the quality of the product. They need not maintain, they need not register any of these acts, either insecticides act or fertilizer act or any other act. They need not register. Only quality control is to be supervised. That means any woman entrepreneur wants to start biological control as their entrepreneurship activity, they can start initially with parasitoids, predators, and EPN. Later, based on the permissions from the government of India, they can extend either to the biofertilizers or biopesticides. Coming to the parasitoids, we are talking so much about the parasitoids. As I told you, these are very small, tiny insects. These parasitoids are very small, tiny insects. They may be egg parasitoids. If you see, these egg parasitoids, if you see, they are killing the eggs of insects. They may be larval parasitoids, which are killing the larvae of the pest. They may be pupal parasitoids, which are killing the pupae of the pest. To tell frankly, in the same insect category, we will find different types of insects. Like some insects are very much useful to us. Under that category, the parasitoids are one of the useful insects. That's why we call them as the farmer's friends. And there are other types of insects, predators, which are also useful. They eat other insects and help us in controlling the insects. And third category is pollinators, which helps in the pollination and helps us. In the same insect category, we know the insect pests which cause huge damages to the crops, like sucking pest, borers, weevils, all these causes, even stored grain pests also. These are all the harmful. Just like insects or different types, useful insects, harmful insects, pollinators, like that. Any insect, if you take either useful insect or harmful insect, their life cycle is designed in such a way an adult insect lays eggs. Upon hatching, the eggs becomes larva. Larva becomes pupa. Pupa becomes adult. That is their life cycle. But if you see the insects, eggs are non-feeding stages. They don't eat anything. Pupae are not eating stages. They don't eat anything. And adults, most of the adults, they don't cause any damage. They take some nectar or some other thing and they survive and lay eggs. But most destructive stage is larva. Larva is caterpillar stage. The caterpillar stage, it causes huge damage to our crop. That's why what we do, we will take control measures. Whatever control measures we take, suppose you take pesticides, we spray on the larvae. We never try to control eggs. We never try to control pupa. We never try to control adults. But mostly the farmer's interest is to control larval stages because they are causing the damage to the crop. Visible damage to the crop. Sucking pest sucks the juice from the plant parts and affect the crop. Borers, they eat the produce and cause the damage. That's why farmers are always worried about these larvae and they try to control in the larval stages. But actually, if we control, you imagine, if we can control in the egg stage itself, if we are controlling, the larva will not come. The pest is controlled. And if we are controlling pupa, the adult will not come. And adult cannot lay eggs. When there is no egg, there is no larva. And if we can control, larval stages, the pupation becomes affected and overall pest population decreases. This biological control gives us the options to control in different stages. In the different stages of either egg stage, larval stage, or pupal stage. That's why it is more advantageous compared to the pesticides. You see the predators. There are different types of predators. You can see different predators, how they are killing the insects. In fact, they kill the insects and they take them as their food. Simply what we have to do in the biological control, the approaches are top-down control. The top-down control, what we are doing, suppose I am telling you, there is a crop, you take any crop, paddy crop or maize crop or any crop. Crop is at first trophic level in the agriculture ecosystem. Over the crop, next level are the crop pests. Crop pest means that could be a Helicoverpa or Spodoptera, whatever may be harmful insect. Above that, these parasitoids and predators comes. In the top-down control, if you see, it is called augmentative biological control. What we are doing, we are releasing these parasitoids and predators, that is the third trophic level, to control the second trophic level, that is insect pest. But the other alternative is bottom-up control. Bottom-up control means the plants are there, first trophic level, second trophic level, pests are there, and over that, these parasitoids and predators are there. Simple manipulation of the habitat. Along with the crop, you put some flowering plants. It could be a marigold, it could be any other locally available, a cheap flowering plant. If you put either in the borders or wherever some water is available, and never spray anything on the crop, any pesticide. These parasitoids and all, they take shelter on those flowering plants and they can control the pests. This is bottom-up control. We are not going to release anything from the top, but we are going to provide food and shelter to the these beneficial insects through providing multi-cropping or intercropping or some flowering plants, so that they will take shelter on those flowers and they will control the pest. That is also option. We can choose anything, that bottom-up control or top-down control. Otherwise, if a system is degraded, there are no natural enemies and all, then we have to grow the natural enemies artificially in the laboratory, and then we have to bring them and release in the field. You see how to produce these parasitoids or predators. In the production of parasitoids, the most important thing is production of the host insect. First, we need to produce any host insect. The host insect, generally in our laboratories, we take Corsera cephalonica as the host insect, that is rice moth. Everybody, we know this Corsera cephalonica. If we are storing rice in the house, or if we are storing any sorghum or any flour, rice flour or sorghum flour or wheat flour, generally we see this Corsera cephalonica in the field, that we can rear it very easily. Otherwise, we can produce any silkworm or anything as the host. And once we collect the eggs of the Corsera cephalonica, and just you see, once we collect the eggs of the Corsera cephalonica, you take food, very simple food with the sorghum grain, and you take streptomycin sulfate to control bacterial infections. Little yeast you take, and also you take some formalin to control fungal pathogens. You mix that diet and charge it with the Corsera cephalonica. Put the Corsera cephalonica in shelves without disturbance, And then after 1 month, the moth starts emerging out, collect the eggs, you see, collect the eggs and just clean the eggs. After cleaning, expose the eggs to the UV radiation. Why I am telling, if you are producing an egg parasitoid, obviously we have to sterilize with the UV light to kill the embryo of the egg. We don't need Corsera cephalonica in further generations. We need only Trichogramma, an egg parasitoid in the further generations. That's why we have to UV sterilize it. And then you put Trichogramma adults. Suppose if you want to produce Trichogramma chilonis, there are different species of the Trichogramma. Trichogramma chilonis, Trichogramma japonicum, Trichogramma pretiosum, Trichogramma bactre, like that. So then what we have to do, first you get the mother culture of that Trichogramma species which you want to produce from a reputed institute. Like NIPHM will also provide mother cultures free of cost, who takes training at NIPHM. And you can get it from NBAR or any other reputed source and charge the Trichogramma. You put that tricho card along with your Corsera egg cards so that the adults of the Trichogramma which are coming out, they will parasitize the eggs of the Corsera and simply your Trichogramma is produced. And your Trichogramma with simple precautions and you can put it in the field. You see how Trichogramma is placed in the field. Once we use Trichogramma on a specific pest, suppose in paddy we use Trichogramma chilonis and Trichogramma japonicum. When we use, if you see the stem borer, if stem borer lays eggs, this Trichogramma goes and inserts its eggs into the eggs of the stem borer. Otherwise, leaf folder lays eggs. This Trichogramma grows and inserts its eggs into the leaf folder eggs. Like that, once this Trichogramma adult inserts its eggs, you see here the Trichogramma, how it is inserting eggs into the eggs of the Corsera. Once it inserts its eggs into the Corsera eggs, so then a site for the Trichogramma production. Inside the egg, Trichogramma egg develops into the larva and pupates and only adult comes. And the adults will be searching in the field and they lay again eggs into the eggs of the either stem borer or leaf folder or whatever targeted insect for which we are using. So any entrepreneur, what they have to do? Just they have to get Corsera eggs from some place and they have to take little training how to produce the Corsera with simple ingredients of sorghum, yeast, streptomycin sulfate, formalin, and little sulfur we can produce. And once we produce, how to collect the eggs and one equipment is required, that is UV sterilizer. UV sterilize it, then with any chart or anything, simply they can produce tricho cards. And these tricho cards, they are having huge demand, especially in the crops like paddy, sugarcane, vegetables, and many other crops. They are having huge demand. They can sell it and it is a good option. So these are all the release rates. So along with selling the tricho cards, they must give the service how to put the tricho card and how what is the dosage, how many eggs. If you see this 1.5 lakh per hectare, if you are seeing, you may be thinking that it is a huge number. But in fact, 1,50,000 means we measure these eggs in the 1 cc, in the 1 cubic centimeter in the measuring cylinder. 1 cc contains, 1 cc of eggs contains 16 to 18,000 eggs. 16 to 18,000 eggs. So that means even if you are considering 50,000 eggs per hectare, here in the case of rice, that is nothing but 3 cc. That means hardly it is coming 1 cc per acre. 1 cc production cost is very less. 1 cc. Even if you are using 6 times also, there is no problem. Even 6 times cost together also comes 600 only, not more than that. So you can see there are many success stories of this trichogramma. It is a mostly used and mostly successful parasitoid, not only in India, worldwide. You see how women entrepreneurs, they are producing. You can see her. She started producing Trichogramma chilonas, and she started using in her family, father, mother, and children. And she started using in their own sugarcane field, and then started selling to other farmers. So that so much she is a good example of a woman entrepreneur successful in Trichogramma production. I got this entire slides, everything from NBAR. NBAR from Bangalore. They encouraged her, and she started, and she became very successful entrepreneur. Now, many entrepreneurs who are coming for the training, when I interacted with them, they told me that they already visited her. But she is producing not on the Coursera. She is producing on Eri Silkworm. That is also very easy. The Eri Silkworm can be read on just simply it can be read on castor. Much cheap. Castor is much cheap crop on which this Eri Silkworm can be read, and on the Eri Silkworm, this Trichogramma can be produced. Another example is Acidopagus papae. When mealybug came to India, it became very difficult to control mealybug, papaya mealybug. Then farmers started producing Acidopagus papae. NBAR supported, even NIPHM has provided mother cultures of Acidopagus papae to the many farmers. Simply they have to collect the leaves of the papaya which are infested with the mealybug, and then they have to release this Acidopagus papae. It grows, and in any field which is affected with the mealybug papaya field, so then they have to take this Acidopagus papae and release. Once they control the mealybug in that field, generally it moves to the next plant and goes on controlling. It is also very remarkable parasitoid which help many farmers in controlling the papaya mealybug. You see this Chilonas blackburny, which is also a very small insect, small parasitoid. The production is also very simple. It is also egg larval parasitoid. That means just like trichocard preparation, we have to do it, but only difference is this is infested in the egg stage, and the Chilonas grows inside the Coursera larva. That's why we should not subject the eggs of the Coursera cephalonica to the UV light. Just directly fresh eggs without exposing to the UV rays, those eggs are to be used for the Chilonas blackburny production. Once this Chilonas blackburny lays its eggs on the Coursera cards, then what we have to do, those cards we have to put on the Coursera diet, same sorghum diet. So then the larva of the Coursera which is coming out, that grows on this Chilonas that grows inside the Coursera larva, the Chilonas blackburny also grows, and the adult starts coming out. This Chilonas blackburny we can use in the field to control many pests, including potato tuber moth, and we can also use this to control potato tuber moth in the storage also. It is introduced from the Hawaii, and it became very successful. It is successfully multiplied on Spodoptera exigua. No problem, we can multiply it on Coursera cephalonica also. So coming to the Bracon hebater and Bracon brevicornis, this Bracon hebater, it is a larval parasitoid. A larval parasitoid, this also we can grow on Coursera cephalonica or Cytotraga cerealia. First multiply the host insect and collect the host insect, that is mature host insect, and just release this Brecon hebator, you see, into the jars, and you put, you have to provide some honey solution, honey mixed with water. Honey mixed with water is the food of the adult Brecon. You put that honey solution with a cotton swab in the jar and release the Brecon, and put a cover, muslin cloth like this over the jar, and release these collected larvae. Here you are seeing the Corsera cephalonica larva, and cover. This Brecon, you see, this can inserts its eggs into the larva, on the larva of the Corsera. What it do? It will insert its ovipositor through the cloth and lays eggs on the larva of the Corsera cephalonica, or whatever larva you are offering. You can offer Cytotragus cerealia, you can offer Corsera cephalonica, or you can put any other larva of your interest. Coconut black-headed caterpillar or anything, you can put it there, and it inserts its eggs, inserts its ovipositor and lays eggs on the larva. Once it lays eggs on the larva of the host insect, just you can see these are all parasitized larvae. You put it on a filter paper in a petri dish, and they pupate, and the adult starts coming. You take those adults and release in the field, or otherwise you can release the pupa, you can release the adults, or other way you can multiply in a tub, and you can take the tub and put it in the field. In many ways you can release the Brecon hebator into the field. It is a very good flyer. It can fly, and it can catch the host insect, and it can insert its eggs into the host insect. It is ectoparasitoid. That means it will not insert into the insect, but it inserts its ovipositor through the cloth and lays on the larva, and the larva will become food for the developing Brecon hebator. Once it develops, the adult comes out from the pupa, and the adults, they stay in the field for a long time, almost a month, 1 month time they stay in the field. Whenever suitable host comes, suitable host means our Helicoverpa or whatever insect, borer, especially borer comes, it goes and just it lays its eggs on the insect and come back. If you can mix these flowering plants also in the field, it will take shelter on the flowering plants. It will take nectar of the flowering plants as its food. And the plants, they produce nectar. The flowers produce the small flowers. Don't grow big flowers and all in the field. Always go for the small flowers. Small flowers means marigold is having small flowers. One marigold which we are seeing, it is having many flowers in it, small flowers. Mustard, marigold, or any other such crops if you grow, they will take shelter, and they will take also food from those flowers, small flowers, nectar as the food. And whenever the pest comes, just simply they go insert their eggs either into the eggs, if it is egg parasitoid, into the eggs. If it is the larval parasitoid, on the larva. If it is egg larval parasitoid, from the egg to larva it grows inside the egg. Like that, we have to use based on the pest and based on the requirement. So you can see not only parasitoids, predators also can be multiplied in the field. If you go to the field, you can see many predators, many coccinellid predators you can see. Those coccinellid predators you can bring to the lab and provide some aphid or whitefly or anything as the food, and the coccinellids multiply and again take them and release in the field. That is one thing. And Rhinocorus is a reduvit bug, which is a very good predator. This also can be multiplied very easily. These are the reduvit eggs. How we are getting these reduvit eggs? The adult lays the eggs of the reduvit bugs. If you are having eggs, just allow the eggs to hatch. Once those eggs hatch, the nymphs comes, the small nymphs, they take borers as the food. You can offer any insect, Helicoverpa or Spodoptera or Coursera, any borer. If you offer, what they insert their mouth parts into the insects and they suck the juice. They take the juice of the insect. Immediately the insect is killed. So like that, daily you offer the food, either Coursera larva or Helicoverpa or Spodoptera larva you offer. So then they take that juice, the liquid content of the insects, and daily we have to provide fresh insects. Then they grow, and then at a certain point in the second instar nymphs, so then take them and release in the field. So what they do, they will be searching. They are very good flyers. They are very good searchers. They search in the field. Where are the insects? Where are the insects? Then they will go there and insert their mouth parts, take that insect inner contents, so that insect is killed. You can see many examples. Women entrepreneurs who are producing these biological control agents. Like some are producing reduvid bugs, some are producing coccinellate, some are producing trichogramma, some are producing different insects they are producing. And you can see reduvid production, how simply they are producing the reduvids. You see the newspapers, how it came and how they are getting awards, you can see. And not only, okay, once if any womanpreneur settles in the production of these parasitoids and predators, so slowly they can move to the production of other things where the licenses are required. Licensing is very important aspect. Wherever licenses are required, simply to those things they can move. But one thing is sure, for the production of parasitoids, for the production of predators, and even for the production of EPN, entomopathogenic nematodes, license is not required. License is required only for the production of the biopesticides and only for the production of the biofertilizers. You can see some of the success stories, how people are producing at their level. As I told to you, next step is the production of the Pseudomonas, other bacteria, Trichoderma, EPF, EPN, these things. So these are the basic equipment required. Some Petri plates, some of these things. If you go at the huge level, you may need these things like fermenters and all. But at a small level of production, with the simple equipment, anyone can start the production. You can see these can be formulated in different ways: powder formulations, encapsulations, emulsifiable concentrates, granules. So many things can be produced once it is stabilized. So we have conducted, Manage and NIPHM, we have conducted a program, District Pest Management Plan in the district of Warangal. There with a simple investment of around 25 to 30,000, not 25 to 30, around 50,000 rupees. Around 50,000 rupees investment, people started producing Trichoderma and Pseudomonas. The mother cultures were provided from NIPHM and they started production. But this is on not on commercial scale, for their own production and to the neighbor farmers to supply their relatives and all. But if anyone wants to go on commercial scale, they need to take license. If they want to produce for their own, to use in their own field, there is no need of any license. They can produce for their own fields and they can use them in their own field. So you see, these are some of the successful examples who started entrepreneurship in the area of the biological control, and they started earning. But earning is not a motto for these people especially. They started for their own fields, for the quality product. But really, once you start to use in your field and to the neighbor fields and the relatives fields, and slowly that can make into a entrepreneurship by taking license and going. And entomopathogenic fungi like Bavaria, Metarhizium and Paecilomyces, these are also can be produced very easily. these insects, what they do, they kill these entomopathogens. These are also actually fungi. Like Trichoderma, these are also fungi. They also kill the insects. These are also very simple. We can produce on dry medium like sorghum, and we can produce in a wet medium also. We can produce. We can formulate in the solid formulation or liquid formulation to sell to the others. These are all specific. Some entomopathogens, they control whiteflies, some green scales, and aphids, mealybugs. How I am showing all, different biological control agents are available to control different pests. Trichogramma, it controls eggs of the Lepidopteran insects. Chilonas, mainly useful for the potato. And Bracon, it is useful for the many crops. Many polyphagous pests like Helicoverpa and all can be controlled with Bracon. And you can also produce Trichoderma, which controls fungal diseases. You can also produce Pseudomonas, which is a growth promoter and also controls some of the diseases. And you can also produce these biological control agents, entomopathogens, like entomopathogenic fungi. EPF, it is generally called EPF, entomopathogenic fungi. In the entomopathogenic fungi also, there are different entomopathogenic fungi like Bavaria, Verticillium, so many things are there. Some are suitable for to control the sucking pest, some are suitable to control the borer, some are for the weevils, like that. There are multiple options to control pests in the field with biological control agents. So we need not think only chemical pesticide is the solution to control the pests in the field. There are multiple options available in the field of biological control to control different pests. So you can see even coffee borer like insects, thrips, whiteflies, armyworms, all these insects can be controlled with the biological control agents. You can see mealybugs, mango hoppers, all these things can be controlled. Metarhizium anisopliae is a very good biological control agent. It is entomopathogenic fungus. Mostly it is useful for control of the weevils and grasshoppers. Now when fall armyworm outbreak come, Government of India recommended Metarhizium anisopliae to control the fall armyworm also. It was also working very nicely. And another example is Bacillus thuringiensis. It is a bacteria. It is a bacteria which causes septicemia to the insects. It can also control many insects. It can also control many insects, this Bacillus thuringiensis. So entrepreneurs can enter into the production of the Bacillus thuringiensis also. That is also one option. You can see Helicoverpa attack on tomato, cotton and pigeon beyond commercial crops. This Helicoverpa is a big problem. We can control this with this Bacillus thuringiensis. And another is NPV, nuclear polyhedrosis viruses, which are very easy to produce. Two NPVs are very effectively used in India. That is NPV of Helicoverpa armigera and NPV of Spodoptera litura. And these NPVs just simply, they can collect larvae from the field and they can infect those larvae with the NPV and can prepare NPV solution, which is very easy. Many people are producing NPVs. I know many farmers, women farmers, who are producing their own NPVs, either for Helicoverpa or Spodoptera. They are producing their own NPV with a small equipment, one mixture and one tray. They are producing their own NPV and using. Most important thing, which I would like to mention here is the entomopathogenic nematodes. Up to now, we saw entomopathogenic fungi and entomopathogenic bacteria, which causes diseases to the insects. But now I am talking about entomopathogenic nematodes, for which no need of any registration. There is no registration process because these are very safe to the human beings. These nematodes are very safe to the human beings. That's why they are exempted from the registration process. The nematodes which causes diseases to the plants. Root knot nematode, gall nematode, like that. We know all the nematodes means which are bad nematodes, which causes diseases to the plants. But there are useful nematodes also. But one thing I would like to tell you is, apart from harmful nematodes, there are useful nematodes also. How these nematodes are useful? Just like harmful nematodes causes diseases to the plants, these useful nematodes, they cause diseases to the insects. They kill the insects. They kill very harmful insects. That's why they are useful. EPN production is also not a difficult job. It is also a very easy process. EPN production is also very easy process. Simply, first they have to produce the host insect, or anyone can be collected from the field also. Use that mother culture of the EPN and infect the larva. And once the larva dies, it becomes cadaver. Collect the cadavers, and from that cadavers, extract the EPN solution and use that EPN solution, either spray or in the use in the field to kill the other insects. These EPNs are very broad spectrum. EPNs are very broad spectrum ones. They can kill many insects, many stages of the insects. They can kill many insects because they are having bacteria along entomopathogenic nematodes. They are having bacteria inside. That bacteria can kill wide range of insects within short time, just like pesticide. Within 1 or 2 days, they kill the pest. That's why EPNs are also becoming very popular, especially in the protected cultivation, in the polyhouses and all. They are becoming very popular. When I say polyhouses nematode means, you may be thinking plant pathogenic nematodes which are present in the polyhouse. First point we have to remember, plant pathogenic nematodes are different from entomopathogenic nematodes. These entomopathogenic nematodes, they will never go and cause any disease to the plants. Only they can kill the insects. Their production is also very easy. It is very easy to produce these entomopathogenic nematodes using any insect. You take white grub, you take Coursera, you take Helicoverpa, you take Gelleria mellonella. Gelleria mellonella is greater wax moth, which is available with honey producers. Actually, it is a pest there in the honey production. You take that Gelleria mellonella and infect those insects with the entomopathogenic nematodes. Then extract the EPN or directly use the cadaver. No need to extraction also. Once the insect becomes cadaver, you mix it with some vermicompost and spread in your field. And if it is a fruit crop, you use near the plants. The nematodes which are coming out, they will go in search of the insects. Suppose if you see the white grub is deep inside. Whatever pesticide we put, it will not reach the white grub, root grub. But if you apply entomopathogenic nematodes, just simply they need moisture. If moisture is there, they will go in search of the insect, and they will go in search of the insect and kill the insect. So you see what a service an entrepreneur in the biological control can offer to the needy people. You can do first your own production. You can start with parasitoids and predators, and then move to the entomopathogenic nematodes, and then you can move with a little bit licenses and all to the biofertilizers, then to the biopesticides. And moreover, apart from becoming entrepreneur, you can educate to the others how to use, what to use, what is the problem, for which problem, what to use. These are all the multiple opportunities available in the biological control aspect for the upcoming entrepreneurs. So you see how entomopathogenic nematodes are effective, and several species are used around the world against a variety of insect pests in nurseries, ornamental, strawberries, cranberries, citrus, bananas, many berries, against cutworms, webworms, bugs, crickets, termites. Surprisingly, I met one woman entrepreneur. She is producing EPNs. In EPNs also there are so many species. Heterorhabditis, Tinanima, so many species. She is producing to control termites. Based on the need, we have to choose the EPN species which is to be produced and which is to be recommended. So wishing you all success, and I hope you will choose biological control as an important aspect. One way to supply biocontrol agents to the needy people, and the other way educating the people in the area of the biological control, which biological control to use for which pest and how to use, what are the precautions to be taken, what are the uses and what are the drawbacks and all the things. Thank you very much.